Hello everybody. I'm going live today with one of the lives I was supposed to be doing for clients by Christmas. But if you remember, I had a massive burnout that week and ended up taking 3 days off because I was so tired, so tired. And we've just had a really amazing CEO club call, actually, where we talked about fear of success, and we really acknowledged to each other how tired we are right now and how heavy the whole year's been, and that it's just, it's really been a tricky year where I think we kind of knew and acknowledged that 2020 was pretty ropey but in a lot of ways, for a lot of different reasons. But we had much bigger hopes for 2021, and for many of us, they haven't happened. And we've had massive things going on. We've had separations, and we've had house moves, and we've had kids starting school, and all of those kind of things. And we forget that those big shifts in our personal lives mean that our business life is also becomes wobbly. The foundations of the very thing that we rely on, our accommodation, our family, our security, all those things are wobbly. Wobbly foundations at the base level means that you're not in a position to be able to fulfill your purpose and do all the things that you really want to do. And so that was a really interesting CEO club call that we had this morning. We were talking all about overcoming the fear of success. It was awesome. Awesome. Right, I'm just going to find my own live stream because today I want to talk to you about the 5 essential mindset shifts that you need to be making if you are to become the CEO, right? CEO of your own business. And if you're here watching live, say hello, let me know that you're watching live. If you're watching on the replay, say #replay. There's going to be a few people that I'll tag in this. They've asked me to tag them in it. So once this live is over, I will do that. So what's going on? My goodness me. It feels like, and it doesn't even feel like it is, it's a fact that developing this kind of strong and resilient CEO mindset is a process. It's an ongoing thing. It's not a one and done kind of, right, tick, been to the workshop, tick, got the thing done, and now my mindset is, it doesn't happen like that. I have a wobbly mindset, not all the time. Like, I have a wobbly mindset before I'm launching. I have a wobbly mindset before I start promoting out my retreats and all that kind of stuff, even though I've done all of those things successfully a number of times already. So the wobbly mindset doesn't go. What changes is your ability to be able to move through those wobbles without them kind of derailing you all the time. All right. So let me know who's here. So when you've got a strong mindset, it means that you can overcome or at least move past obstacles that get in your way, whether they're thrown up by your own brain or whether it's somebody else that's done something that or hasn't done something that's meant that you're stuck. When you've got a strong and resilient mindset and a growth mindset and a problem-solving mindset, you'll be able to move past those things. But the reality is that until you've developed that, it's very easy to get waylaid by your inner critic. It's very easy to fall into the scroll hole because it's easier to scroll than it is to go live. It's easier to scroll than it is to do your follow-ups. It's easier to look at somebody else's social media and indulge in comparisonitis. That feels easier for you, even though it feels shitty too. It feels easier for you than doing the thing that you're supposed to be doing. And we also get super distracted by shiny object syndrome. So we download all of the things from somebody else. We consume instead of creating. We over prep as a form of procrastination. We spend so long trying to get our landing page perfect that we never actually send out the link for anyone to even sign up for the thing that we spent so long creating. Does any of that sound familiar to you? Let me know. Because what happens then is you have a constant feeling of you're never able to actually move forward. never actually able to make any significant progress in your business. And you get to the end of the day, or you get to the end of the week, actually having achieved very little of note. So if any of you can relate to that, let me know, because I would love to. Hi, Kathy. I would love to. I know I'm not alone. I know I'm not alone, but I would love you all to know that you're not alone too. And instead, wouldn't it be amazing if you were able to think more quickly, make decisions more quickly, stop those ruminations more quickly, stop that inner critic more quickly, so that you can act more quickly? Because guess what? Money loves action. Money loves action. In fact, write it in the comments. Money loves action. If you're not taking any action, you won't be getting any money, right? It's a fact of business. If you're not taking any action, you're not making any money, right? You want to be able to make offers and sell confidently. When you're confident in what you offer, and when you can stand behind what you offer and talk about it passionately and like an expert, then you'll be able to take your clients and your customers on that journey with you. They'll also be confident in what you're offering, right? And then you can start to turn things around for yourself, or at least know, this too shall pass. This is a phase. This is a process that my brain is going through to keep me safe, and that it will pass if I do these certain things. Because what we actually all want for ourselves is to be confident, right? We want to be confident in our own self, and we want to be confident in our business, so that we can get out there and do what needs to be done, so that we can have that freedom lifestyle that we want for ourselves, so that we can help more of our clients get to where they want to go and have that kind of ripple effect out in the world, so that we can get fully booked, so that we can have those consistent income months, right? That's what we all want, right? So for me, I used to be very unconfident. I had a very low self-worth, had very low self-esteem. I was the follower. I was never the leader. I was not very solution focused at times. I'm going to admit it. I would go to my manager and say, we've got this problem, instead of saying, we've got this problem and here are some things that we could do about it. I was not super solution focused at that point. I was always the second in command. And honestly, the things that I said to myself were awful. I didn't have the courage of my own convictions. I wasn't a really great strategizer or forward thinker. And for a long time, I honestly never thought that I would end up running my own business. And here I am running my second successful business, because I always thought that I was a follower, not a leader. Right. And I really hated putting myself out there. I didn't like, I didn't mind attention being on me, but what it meant was that I had to be incredibly self-deprecating and make jokes about myself at my own expense. If you can relate to that, let me know. But the result of that was it eroded away what little self-confidence I had. It eroded away what little self-esteem I had, because essentially I was doing myself down before I let anybody else do it. Now, I got bullied quite badly at school. I got bullied for being thin. I got bullied for being smart. I got bullied for being posh. And so it led to me making these self-deprecating comments about myself before anybody else could do it for me. And that made me feel in control of the situation, which is super sad. And that's what happened. And luckily for me, I had a boyfriend at the time who said, George, you know what? It's so annoying when you do that. So annoying when you do that. Can you please stop? And I thought, okay, I'm going to stop. And I said, okay, I'm going to try and stop. And every time I do it, you have to remind me to stop doing it. And so I stopped. And it probably took 3 or 4 weeks for me to stop. And honestly, the change in my own perception of myself since then has grown and grown and grown and grown. Now, I'm not saying that I don't have wobbles every now and again. I certainly still do, but I don't come from a starting point of thinking how crap I am and telling everybody else how crap I am. That's not where I start from, right? So I really want you to take that little story on board. And if you're one of the people, and we talked about it today in the CEO Club, if you're one of the people who brushes off compliments and brushes off praise, and when you read testimonials about your amazing work, you think, oh, it wasn't me that did that work, or oh, I can't believe, do they really mean I was that good? Or, you give somebody else the credit. Stop. Let that praise sink in for yourself, okay? It's really, really important. All right, so 5 mindset shifts you need to make to be the CEO that slays in your business. The first one is you need to become a ninja level problem solver. So all problems in your business are now yours to solve. Congratulations. You don't have an IT department or a finance department or an admin department or a marketing department or whatever. You are all those things. All of those problems are now yours to solve. So if you've ever worked for a toxic company, and I know that lots of us have around here, you'll be able to understand this next one well. Backstabbing and nastiness and blame and people who slack off, right? When you work for yourself, let this sink in. When you work for yourself and you don't have a strong and resilient mindset, you're essentially creating a toxic company of one person, because you will be doing the slacking off. You will be doing the excuse making and the blaming of things on other people or other situations. You'll be backstabbing yourself. Imagine it. How ridiculous. A toxic company of one. And I know that many of you left toxic workplaces to set up your own business so that you could have the flexibility and the autonomy and you didn't have to work for a toxic boss. But you've just become your own toxic boss. Who can relate? Tell me, can you relate to all of this? So you have created a toxic company of one where you play all of the roles. You do safe things like you reorganize your office instead of doing the important revenue generating work. Maybe you don't turn up for work, or you slack off, or you leave early, or you have extra long lunch breaks or whatever. Maybe you, as I said, maybe you blame yourself, or you blame others, or you blame other situations for your lack of progress. So I really want you to become a solution-focused boss, right? A solution-focused boss, where you say to yourself, okay, so you've got a choice, George, you've got a choice. Your choice is you can either do the thing, or we're probably going to have to lay you off because we don't have the money to pay you anymore, I'm afraid. So make sure that you're solution focused, not problem focused. And I say the same thing to B. B comes to me and says, Mum, I'm thirsty. And I say to her, okay, instead of coming to me and saying I'm thirsty, what is it that you actually want? Ask for what you want. And I think for us girls, for us women, gosh, asking for what we want is something that we definitely don't do enough. We don't do enough. We don't ask for what we want with power. We ask for what we want apologetically, or we don't expect to get it when we ask for it, so we don't ask. I want to teach B to ask for what she wants, because she's communicating a need, she's communicating a desire, she's creating a solution instead of a problem. Mum, can I have a drink of water? Is it okay if I get myself a drink of water? Or Mum, I'm going to get a drink of water. I want her to be able to ask for what she wants. I want her to be solution focused, not problem focused. So Anna says 100%. Yeah, isn't it? It's so true. It's so true. So move from a toxic company of one to a company where everyone feels empowered, everyone feels solution orientated. There's a no blame culture that you create for yourself in your company of one. There's autonomy and there's trust to get things done. You trust yourself to get things done, and recognize your strengths. We've all got plenty of strengths. That's why we're even here. And by the way, you ladies who are starting your businesses or running your own businesses, you have not chosen the easy way. So congratulate yourself for that. You've chosen a way that's actually more difficult and more confronting and more exhausting than doing a day job, especially in the first few years when you're getting it up and running. So, you know, congratulate yourself for not making the easy choice. So if business was easy, everyone would be doing it, and they're not. So you are setting yourself out as being different from the others already. Okay. Yes, Anna, I will. So leave judgment out of your weaknesses. So recognize your strengths, leave judgment out of your weaknesses. Yes, we have our zone of genius. Amazing. But we also have those bits we're not so great at. I'm not great at accounting, which is why I get somebody else to do it for me. Hooray, I don't have to look at zero, hardly ever. And when I do, it's usually to make a mistake or to fix a mistake I've made, right? So I know what my zone of genius is, and I try to not be in, you know, not put my fingers in all of the pies. So a question for your self-coaching toolbox. So I love to give out these questions, as lots of you will know. For your self-coaching toolbox, ask yourself each morning, what do I want the outcome to be today? And what do I need to do to create that? What do I want my outcome today to be? And what do I need to do to create that? Okay, so the second one, sorry, we're doing 5 mindset shifts and we're only on the second one. So the first one is shift from become a ninja level problem solver, right? The second one is learning how to shift from negative to positive. And this is really, really important because positivity breeds action and action breeds positivity. So it's a kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. So let's look to the future instead of back. The only reason we want to look back is where we are learning lessons from things that have gone well or perhaps not so well, or we're looking back at how far we've come in and again, we talked about this on the CEO Club this morning. We're always looking to the next thing, and we very rarely look back at how far we've come to congratulate ourselves on things. So look to the future instead of back. Look at what's gone right and learn from what's gone wrong. And manage your own expectations as well. You know, we hear a lot about toxic positivity. So we know that it's irresponsible for me to tell you to be positive all the time. It's irresponsible, it doesn't work, because actually we need to base our day-to-day on realism as well as hope, right? You know, this is what life looks like. Life looks messy, and it looks amazing, and it looks sad, and it looks all of those things. So let's not be positive all the time, but we do want to be able to shift from negative to positive if we start spending too long in that space, right? So if we were to think about a glass of water, right? If we were to think about it, and I should have brought a prop with me, but I haven't got it. If we were to think about a glass of water, I'm holding the glass of the water. From my perspective, the actual weight of the glass is irrelevant, right? It all depends on how long I hold it for. So if I hold it a minute or two, that glass of water is fairly light. But if I decide I'm going to hold it for an hour or for a day, it's going to make my arm ache, right? The longer I hold it, the more my arm is going to cramp up, the more I'm going to feel kind of numb and paralyzed and all of those kind of stuff. And eventually I'll just drop the glass to the floor, right? The absolute weight of the glass of water hasn't changed. But the longer I hold it, the heavier it feels to me. And, you know, that's the same with your worries, your frustrations, your disappointments, your stressful thoughts. They're like that glass of water. If you think about them for a little while, nothing too drastic happens. But when you think about them longer, you'll begin to kind of feel some pain in your body somewhere or in your head or somewhere. And if you start thinking about them all day long or all week, or they're constantly there going round and round and round and round, you're going to be completely numb, completely paralyzed, and you'll be completely incapable of doing anything else until you drop the negative thoughts, just like you would drop the glass of water if I told you to hold it out all day in front of you. How, tell me if that's landing for you, right? Whether you're watching on the replay or live. So the kind of reframing that I'm talking about here, again, is about making a choice. It's about, so Kathy says, so true. Thinking about it is always worse than dealing with it. Oh, so true. It's so true. So choosing choosing how to see the events is really important. So as we spoke about this on the CEO call, the events are actually neutral. The event itself is neutral. So I use the example of a birthday party on the call this morning. A birthday party is neutral, but how you perceive the birthday party is how the problems start. You might love birthday parties and you really like the people whose party you're going to, and so you're excited and you're looking forward to it and all of that kind of stuff. You might be exhausted. Maybe you had an argument with somebody else that's going to the party, or you don't want to drive that long way, and you start to resent the fact that you're going to the birthday party. But the party itself is completely neutral. It's only the thoughts that you've attached to experiences around it that color your perception of reality. So I hope that you understand that, you know, from that example, that what you perceive as reality is probably not. Everything is neutral. It's just your life experiences and your thoughts and beliefs that put a different slant on it. And we can start to change those. We can start to change those thoughts and beliefs as well. So we want to look at failures as opportunities to learn better and to make it better next time. And we want to be able to believe in our own power to be able to change things as well. So the third mindset shift is about becoming abundant. And again, it's kind of a hackneyed word, but we all know what it means. And it's not just about money. It's about becoming abundant in time and health and love and happiness and all of those kinds of things, right? And it goes hand in hand with positivity. So nothing is going to kill your positivity and your abundance and your forward momentum faster than wallowing in lack thinking or scarcity thinking. So I want you to recognize and really recognize that if somebody else is doing what you want to do and they're making a success out of it, it is possible for you too. If it's possible in the world, it's possible for me, right? It's one of the foundational principles of NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. If it's possible in the world, it's possible for me, right? And it's, as I said, abundance is not just wealth. It's a belief that there's more than enough to go around for everyone. It's feeling grateful for what you have. It's instead of shining a spotlight on what you don't have. Super important. So I want you to think about where in your life are you not feeling abundant right now? And it might be your time. Maybe you're feeling time poor. Maybe you're feeling money poor. Maybe your health isn't where you want it to be. And I want you to think about how you can flip it around so that you can start to become more abundant. And it might be about changing your thinking. It might be about making some tangible actions to shift things around so that you start to become more abundant in that particular thing. Okay, number 4. So we've talked about so far, let me just scroll back up through my notes. We've talked about becoming a ninja level problem solver and how important that is. We've talked about learning how to shift from negative to positive. We've talked about becoming abundant. And I want to talk to you now about knowing your worth. So as a CEO, you have to know your own worth, because here's a bit of a truth bomb for you, which we forget because we get so close to the things that we do that we take it for granted that what comes easily for us likely doesn't come easy to everybody, right? And it can be a real surprise to some, I should say, can be a surprise to most people who haven't spent time thinking about it. The very thing that you take for granted is the area of expertise that people will happily pay you for. So as I said earlier on, I'm not great with numbers, right? So I pay somebody else to do numbers for me. She loves numbers. Numbers are her cardio. She's even got a sweatshirt with it printed on. Numbers are her cardio. So I pay her to do that for me because I know that's not where my zone of expertise lies. But I know that my zone of expertise lies in seeing your brilliance and being able to put a marketing strategy together for you and talking about creating an offer that sounds really good and all of those words and messages around it, and teaching you how to sell in a way that feels good and not spammy and doesn't involve sending out 50 DMs to random people on Facebook every day. I mean, goodness me, you know, that's where I know my zone of genius is. So, you know, it's not just about knowing how good you are at your job or knowing how good you are at your chosen calling. It's appreciating all of the things that are special about you. Your sense of humor, how you think about your friends when they're down and you reach out and ask them if they're okay. No one else possesses that exact blend of skill and unique experience and characteristics that you've got. There are thousands of business coaches in the world, thousands and thousands and thousands. And yet people come to me because they like the way that I do things. People go to Amanda for bookkeeping because they love the way that Amanda does things in her bookkeeping, because they like Amanda. There are thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of bookkeepers, but I go to Amanda, right? So people will come to you for your unique blend of skills, expertise, characteristics, personality, the way that you explain things. Okay, so celebrate yourself, know your own worth, celebrate yourself. It's not conceited. Don't feel like that makes you arrogant or too big for your boots or self-absorbed or anything like that. It's about liking yourself and loving who you are. And I know that sounds really kind of fluffy coming from me, and I don't talk about in that kind of terms very often. Kathy, what you said, that's really deep. What bit was really deep? I'm really interested in knowing, because these comments always come through really, really late in comparison to what I'm talking about. So tell me what you thought was really deep, because I'm super interested to know. So none of us are perfect. None of us are perfect, and that's okay. And we're perfectly us. You know, we're perfectly us, and that's okay too. Even our faults are gifts, because our faults allow us to relate to people that we care about. You know, the things that I've done wrong in business and I've shared make people think, oh, thank God, if George can get things wrong and still have a successful business, maybe there's hope for me. I don't feel so out of reach because I'm a normal person that gets things wrong and I stuff up and I have to cancel things at the last minute because I've worked too hard and burnt myself out, right? It's okay. It's okay to share the journey and be who you are. It's fine. It's fine. We're only in this particular lifetime once, so don't waste it trying to be someone else or beating yourself up because you're not this or you're not that. Don't waste it trying to be what others want you to be or trying to be someone else. Just be yourself. And by the way, it's so much easier to be yourself as well. So own your mistakes, celebrate your successes, care about other people. And you know, when we care about other people, we're actually holding a mirror up and we're saying, I like you, you're worth it, you're worth my care, right? So yeah, I just being at peace with who you are. Honestly, I've changed so much. At the beginning of this live stream, I talked about how unconfident I was as a youngster. And so I'm 44 now. Am I 44 or 45? So old, I can't even remember my own age. 44. And I had a conversation with another mum friend who's 44, and she said, oh, you know, gosh, would you go back to being 24 and, you know, having a tight body and all that kind of stuff? And I went, do you know what? No, because even though I might have had fewer wrinkles, no dark circles under my eyes, I didn't have a wobbly tummy. Gosh, I was so insecure. So insecure. I would never go back to being 24. So insecure about myself. I was horrible to myself, and I don't want to do that again. So number five, get comfortable with discomfort. Oh, so important, because anytime you put yourself out there, whether it's through marketing or on a sales call or going to a networking event or maybe putting a photograph of yourself on your website or whatever, it takes guts. It takes real guts. And it might feel, if you're one of those people that are like, oh, couldn't possibly think of anything worse than putting a photograph of myself on my website. How self-absorbed is that? My goodness, get used to it. Get used to it, right? Because people buy you. As I said earlier on, you know, there are thousands of bookkeepers, thousands of business coaches, thousands of accountants, whatever, but people will come to you. So get used to showing yourself and putting yourself out there, because when you show yourself and your personality and you put yourself out there, people will find it easier to relate to you and who you are, right? So I've said this before, but it's worth repeating. When we start our business, we hope and we think that we're going to get to do all of the things that we really love doing. So if you're a coach, you get to coach all the time. If you make earrings, you get to make beautiful earrings all the time. If you're an artist, you get to paint all the time. If you're a photographer, you get to take amazing photographs all the time. The reality is that you're going to be spending the vast majority of your time business building, sales, marketing, websites, all of that kind of stuff. And it can be a real slap in the face for people to realize that they're spending 95% of their time doing things that are not their passion. They're not taking photographs, they're not coaching, they're not healing, they're not whatever it is. Okay. And you know, get used to it. Fall in love with the process of building your business, because that's the only way that it's going to get you to doing the work that you actually love. Fall in love with the process of choosing the images. Fall in love with the process of making your messaging work. Fall in love with the process of talking to people on sales calls. Fall in love with doing lives. Okay. It's super necessary. It's, you know, not very many people love it from the start, but you've got to embrace it as a necessary step, unfortunately. So fall in love with the process of building, not just the doing your passion bit, right? But don't judge yourself also. If you can't make that leap from sitting behind your computer to speaking at a networking event just yet, or having an article in Huffington Post or whatever it is, you know, it's okay. So, you know, an ambitious pace like that is not for everyone. Again, don't indulge in comparisonitis. So no matter how quickly or no matter how slowly you progress, the best way to start that I know of is just by doing one thing, one step at a time. And people talk about taking massive action. It's not even about taking massive action. It's about all the tiny steps that accumulate into massive action over the course of a month or 6 months or a year or whatever. You've got a lot to offer the world. So get out there and do it and start sharing it. If you can't see it, take an inventory of what it is that you're good at. Sit down and actually make a list. Divide your page into 2 columns. So the first one is, what do I have to offer? And the second one is why my people will appreciate it, right? So remember, it's outside of your comfort zone that most of the growth occurs. We know that. We've seen that quote around all the time. And that can be exhausting. Being out of your comfort zone all the time can be exhausting. So give yourself some grace as well. Give yourself some grace and give yourself some space, because space creates creativity. Space creates space for creativity, and new ideas spark in your brain, and you see things differently, and you'll be able to come at a problem in a slightly different way, right? As you pass each milestone, your first live, getting your photo on your website, starting to build your email list, going to a networking event, as you pass each milestone, your confidence in doing that thing grows. But it has to start with you doing something. You are the one that has to make the choice. All right. So I hope that you've enjoyed this live stream. I'm going to be doing another one next week, and would really love to hear from you. If you've watched it to the end, what's been your biggest takeaway or insight from this? Okay. All right. I will leave it there, and I will speak to you all soon. Take care. Bye, ladies. Oh, by the way, if you're in town tonight in Brisbane CBD, we've got our unnetworking event at Fat Noodle. Please contact Denise Perry. I think we've still got a few spaces left. The event is in the events tab of this group. So yeah, love to see you there if you can make it. Bye.